Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. They say if you hang around long enough in Tornado Alley, you'll either become a weatherman, a lunatic, or a legend. I guess I chose all three. Name's Tanner. I've been chasing twisters since I was 17, long enough to know when a storm's just mad at the sky and when it's got murder in its heart. I drive a battered silver Tacoma with 3 GoPros duct taped to the hood, a laptop on a shaky mount, and a cooler full of Monster energy drinks and gas station burritos that could dissolve asphalt. My route used to be classic: Texas Panhandle up to central Kansas, sometimes dipping into Oklahoma for the good stuff. But the last few years, it's been drifting east. Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama. Places where folks still say fixin' to and don't trust Wi-Fi. And storms out there? Different, meaner, quieter, like they're listening. It all started with a tweet. Storm risk elevated for central Arkansas. Conditions ripe for rotation. I packed my gear, kissed my dog Boomer goodbye, and hit the road with my buddy Pete in the passenger seat. Pete's a bald, bearded man who looks like if a Viking ran a vape shop. He's the kind of guy who yells YOLO every time he pees on an electric fence. Solid storm chasin' company. Bro, Pete said, chomping on jerky as we rolled into a tiny town called Brier Creek. You see that sky? That ain't just overcast. That's like depressed. He wasn't wrong. The clouds hung low, smeared across the sky like dirty cotton. Everything felt too still. Even the wind was holding its breath. We pulled into a local gas station to top off. That's where we saw it, taped to the inside of the door. A piece of lined paper, yellowed and curling at the corners. Storm Chaser rules Brier Creek, last updated 2007. Don't chase anything that doesn't show on radar. If the sky turns white, not gray, not green, white, leave immediately. If you hear a child giggling during a lightning storm, do not investigate. No photos after midnight. If a funnel cloud forms over the church, keep driving. Do not stop. Never chase alone. If your partner disappears, drive until sunrise, and don't look back. Pete laughed. Oh, hell yeah, we got some local cryptid tornado lore. This is content, baby. We took a selfie with the rules, posted it to Storm Talk, and rolled out, thinking it was a joke. Locals trying to scare the tourists. But there weren't any tourists here. Just old trucks, boarded windows, and a laundromat with a flickering neon sign that said open, even though the inside looked like a crime scene. The first weird thing happened around 6:30 p.m. We were camped out on County Road 9, watching a shelf cloud roll in. Pete was flying the drone, narrating like he was on Discovery Channel. Notice the curvature on the leading edge here. Classic outflow boundary. Then everything went quiet. Like everything. No bugs, no wind. The cows in the field stopped chewing. Even the drone froze mid-air, hovering like it hit a glass wall. And then the sky turned white. Not lightning white, not cloudy white, bone white. We just stared at it. The light wasn't coming from above. It was like it was bleeding through the sky, backlighting everything. Shadows twisted the wrong way. Pete dropped the drone remote. I think we should go, I said. No, this is wild. Let's film it. A giggle. Software. High-pitched, like a kid just unwrapped a birthday present. Except there weren't any kids. Not for miles. Pete's face went pale. Tanner, we broke like 3 of those rules already. Which ones? All the creepy ones. We turned to get in the truck, and I swear, in the rearview mirror, I saw a little girl in a yellow dress standing in the road, hair stuck to her face like she just stepped out of a thunderstorm. But when I whipped around, nothing. We floored it. The storm didn't chase us. It followed us. Slowly. Patiently. Like it knew where we were going. Every radio station fuzzed out. GPS glitched. My weather radar app just froze with the words, "Signal lost, unknown interference." We made it back to Brier Creek just after dark. The gas station was closed. The lights in the town were off, like someone pulled the plug. Pete was shaking. Not from fear. He was angry. What the hell was that, man? That's not normal storm stuff. That sky was wrong. That voice was wrong. I sat in the truck, hands on the wheel, watching that dead town in the mirror. Then Pete asked the one thing I'd been thinking. What if that list wasn't a joke? We parked behind an abandoned Dollar General. It was the only spot in Brier Creek not surrounded by trees, and I figured, if something decided to crawl out of the sky again, I wanted a clear shot with the camera, and a 360-degree field for hauling ass if needed. Pete paced like a dad outside a delivery room. "I'm serious, man," he said. "I saw something in that white sky. Like shapes, not clouds, not birds. Shapes that moved sideways." He was sweating like a preacher in Vegas. "Okay," I said. "We chill here, ride it out, regroup. We check radar when it comes back online. Make sure we're not in some kinda weird pressure zone." He stopped. "You think that thing was pressure?" I shrugged and reached into the cooler for a burrito. I needed something warm, even if it came out of a foil pouch labeled beef, in 5 languages and 1 skull and crossbones. Pete wasn't eating. He was staring at the sky like it owed him money. Around 9:15 p.m., the wind picked up. Not a breeze, not a gust. It snapped, like a whip cracking over the trees. I felt it hit the side of the truck, then immediately stop. Just one blast. That's when the church bells rang. There was no service, no power, no one on the streets. But I swear, the bell rang 3 slow times, echoing through town like a funeral march. Pete and I both froze. "That wasn't thunder," I said. "Nope." We both looked toward the church steeple half a mile down the road. There was no funnel cloud, no lightning, but my gut dropped into my boots. The 6th rule flashed in my mind. If a funnel cloud forms over the church, keep driving, do not stop. And even though there wasn't one yet, I knew there would be. Pete said, "We're leaving, right?" "Yup." We didn't even buckle up. I threw it in reverse, peeled out of the lot, and floored it west, back the way we came. But the town wasn't finished with us. As we passed the gas station, the streetlight flickered on, just one, and lit up the inside of the convenience store. Only problem? That store didn't have windows. It used to. But the glass had been boarded up for years. Now it glowed from within, like someone lit a lantern inside a boarded coffin. Pete didn't look. He just kept muttering, "Nope, nope, nope. This town is cursed. This is the mist with extra steps." We hit the open road, and for a second I thought we were free. Then the hail started. Small pebbles first, then bigger. Then they thudded like fists against the roof. I slowed to avoid cracking the windshield, then realized something. The hail was only hitting us. Nothing ahead. Nothing behind. I even stopped the truck for a second. The second we stopped, the hail stopped. Pete looked at me. "Bro, is it following the truck?" "No," I lied. "Probably just isolated." Thud. A chunk of hail the size of a softball bounced off the hood and into the ditch. I hit the gas again. By 10:20, we crossed the county line. The wind stopped. The hail vanished. The sky returned to a dull, moonlit gray. Everything went back to normal. Except Pete. He hadn't said a word in 20 minutes. He was just staring out the window, jaw clenched. "You good?" I asked. He blinked slowly. "Tanner. I think we left someone back there." I laughed nervously. "What? We were the only ones out there." "No, in the mirror. I saw someone in the bed of the truck. A little girl. Yellow dress. She was smiling. My heart slammed against my ribs. "Pete, don't say that." He turned his head, eyes wide. "I didn't want to freak you out earlier, but I saw her again, just for a second, and she looked wrong." I swallowed. "She's not there now." Pete slowly turned in his seat, looked through the back window. "She's gone." We pulled into a truck stop 40 miles west, parked under the big lights, and sat there in silence. I scrolled through my camera footage, hoping for nothing, and got it. Everything after the white sky was static, like something had fried the sensors. Pete wouldn't get out of the truck. I ran in, used the bathroom, grabbed 2 coffees, and came back. When I opened the door, he finally spoke. "Let's go home." I nodded. "Yeah." But as we pulled out, something caught my eye in the mirror. A small handprint, smudged in the dirt on the inside of the back window. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared. Okay, maybe a little because I was scared, but mostly because Pete wouldn't stop pacing around my living room like a raccoon on espresso. "She touched the inside of the window," he muttered over and over. "She was in the truck, inside. You felt that cold air, right? That wasn't a draft. That was a warning." Boomer, my lab mix, was growling at the corner behind the TV like there was a ghost back there flossing with power cords. I unplugged everything. I ain't superstitious, but I'm also not an idiot. "I think she followed us," Pete finally said. "No," I said, trying to sound logical. "We crossed the county line. That storm wasn't natural, but it was regional. That's why they had rules posted. It's like a zone." Pete stopped and looked at me. "Then why did she touch the inside of the truck?" I didn't have an answer. The next morning, I called up an old contact, Sheriff Dan Whitmore. Retired now. Used to be the guy you called when a cow landed on a porch or a barn roof peeled off like a tin can. I told him we chased a storm into Brier Creek and things got weird. There was silence on the line. "Brier Creek," he said finally. "That place still on the map?" "Yeah." "I thought they'd shut it down. I told the feds they needed to quarantine that whole county back in 2013 after the Wilkins boy went up in a funnel and came back down with 3 extra fingers." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "Storms out there don't just throw wind, they change things. Weather patterns started going sideways, equipment fried, people went missing, and every time someone came back, they weren't right." Pete and I looked at each other. "I saw the rules, Sheriff. They're still taped to the gas station door." He sighed. "Then someone out there still remembers. That list ain't for tourists. That's survival. You ever hear anything about a little girl? Yellow dress?" The line crackled. "You saw her?" Pete took the phone. "She was in the truck, smiling. Left a handprint on the inside of the window." Another pause. "She's the first one it took," the sheriff said. "Back in the 80s, tornado hit during Sunday school. No warning, no sirens, just a white sky and a dead calm. Took the whole steeple, and her with it. They never found her body. But ever since, every big storm out there, she comes back." I took the phone back, voice dry. "So how do we fix it? Cleanse the truck? Salt circle? Holy water from a sonic cup?" "No idea," the sheriff said. "I just moved out west and started drinking." Click. "Thanks for nothing, Dan." Pete and I decided to do the one thing no horror movie ever recommends. Go back. "We follow the rules this time," I said. "We chase only what's real. And we leave the second the sky changes." "I'm bringing a Bible and a bat," Pete replied. "One for the ghosts. One for whatever they're hiding." Boomer jumped in the back seat like he knew we needed backup. Brave little guy, considering he once hid under the sink because the smoke alarm beeped. By 4 p.m., we were back on County Road 9 just outside Brier Creek. Everything looked the same. Broken fences, leaning barns, the church steeple still somehow intact despite 3 confirmed EF4s over the years. But this time, it wasn't quiet. The wind was steady. Birds chirped. The radar showed a standard storm cell moving in from the southwest. No anomalies, no weird spikes. We parked, rolled the windows down, and waited. An hour passed. Just normal thunderheads. Pete got antsy and started scanning the horizon with binoculars. That's when he spotted it. "Yo, Tanner, northwest sky. You seeing that?" A black funnel was forming over the fields. Clean, rotating, just barely touching the crops. On radar? Nothing. I felt my stomach turn. "That breaks Rule 1, I said. "Don't chase anything that doesn't show up." Pete lowered the binoculars. "So, what do we do?" We watched it spin for another 5 minutes. Then something dropped from the funnel. Not debris, not wood. A bicycle. Pink. Streamers. Still had the training wheels on. Pete started the engine without saying a word. We peeled out of there like demons were on our tail. As we passed the church, the sky darkened. We looked up, and there it was. A second funnel cloud, forming directly above the steeple. We didn't stop. Didn't even slow down. Didn't blink. As we hit the gas, the bell began to ring. 1, 2, 3. And somewhere behind us, the wind whispered, "Wrong turn." By the time we crossed the bridge out of Brier Creek, I couldn't tell if we were escaping a tornado or about to be digested by it. The clouds weren't just moving, they were circling. The entire sky above the county line spun like a ceiling fan stuck on hell. And that church bell? It kept ringing. Long after we were miles out. Boomer was whining in the back seat. Pete rolled down his window to let some air in, and the second he did, we both heard it. The girl again. "Are we there yet?" she whispered. We almost crashed into a culvert. Pete rolled the window back up and locked the doors like that would help. I grabbed my radio and tried to call other chasers in the area. Nothing. Just static and what might have been a voice saying, "You broke the circle." We didn't talk the rest of the drive. We ended up back at my house in central Arkansas around 10 p.m. Boomer wouldn't leave the truck, just growled, staring at the back window like it was going to open on its own. Pete finally broke the silence. "We need to end this." I nodded. "But how?" He pulled a piece of paper out of his jacket. I printed the rules. We laid them out on the kitchen table and read them again. Don't chase anything that doesn't show on radar. If the sky turns white, leave immediately. If you hear a child giggling during a lightning storm, do not investigate. No photos after midnight. If a funnel cloud forms over the church, keep driving. Never chase alone. If your partner disappears, drive until sunrise and don't look back. Pete tapped the last one. This one. It's not about avoiding the storm. It's about escaping a trap. You think we're stuck in a loop? I think we're being watched, and the storm changes depending on who's watching back. I shivered. Like it adapts. He nodded. And we're not the first ones it's played with. We started digging. I pulled up old newspaper archives, storm footage, Reddit threads, anything tied to Brier Creek. And yeah, the town had history. Too much. In 1987, a chaser named Nolan Dreesen vanished while chasing a white sky twister. In 1999, a crew of 3 from a local news station broadcasted a storm warning, except there was no storm. Viewers reported hearing a child laughing during the segment. All 3 quit their jobs within a week. And in 2007, the rules showed up on the gas station door for the first time. Nobody knew who wrote them. That's when Pete found something in an old local blog post. The only way to break the storm's hold is to finish what you started. Follow every rule, but this time follow the storm, not just the radar. I looked at Pete. You thinking what I'm thinking? He nodded. We're going back in, but this time, we do it their way. We spent the next day prepping, charged all the cameras, loaded up 2 weeks' worth of supplies. Pete brought the drone. I brought holy water from a Catholic gift shop and a flask of Jim Beam just in case. We hit the road by sundown. As we crossed back into Brier Creek, the clouds were already forming, unnaturally low and heavy, like the sky was drooping over the county like a lid. I looked at Pete. You ready? He held up the rules. We follow every single one. We waited. At 9:03 p.m. the radar lit up, but the storm didn't. The radar showed a supercell moving due east. The sky above us? Clear. No visual, Pete muttered, but it's showing 82-mile-per-hour rotation. That's impossible. Rule 1, I said. Don't chase what doesn't show. So we wait. Then the sky turned white. No thunder, no warning, just that same sickly, bone-colored glow bleeding through the clouds. Boomer whimpered. We started the truck but didn't leave. We just waited. Then, on the horizon, the church bell rang once, twice, 3 times. I looked at the rules again. Rule 5. If a funnel cloud forms over the church, keep driving. Not toward it, Pete said. I know. We turned away from the church and right into a wall of wind. But it wasn't the normal kind. It moved in slow motion, dust and leaves hanging midair, caught in a crawl. The trees bent, but didn't break. The lightning didn't flash. It pulsed, like a heartbeat. And then we saw her, standing in the middle of the road. Same yellow dress, only this time, her eyes were gone. Just empty, black sockets that shimmered like the inside of a tornado. She smiled and held up her hand. It was our handprint, the one from the truck window. Pete slammed the gas. The truck screamed forward and passed through her like she was smoke. For a moment, the cab went ice cold. The windshield fogged instantly. Boomer yelped. Then the sky snapped back to gray. We were out. The radar flickered. Signal restored. The town behind us vanished into mist, and when we looked at the back window, the handprint was gone. We pulled over at a rest stop 20 miles out, heart still hammering like hail on a tin roof. The storm was gone. The sky was just sky again. The kind you could trust, with stars and crickets, and not a single trace of that awful white light. Boomer curled up in the back, finally asleep, like even he knew we'd crossed some invisible finish line. Pete lit a cigarette with shaking hands. We followed every rule, every damn one. Think we did it? I stared at the road behind us, now just a black ribbon disappearing into trees. I don't know, but she's gone. The handprint's gone. He exhaled a cloud of smoke and leaned back on the truck. Feels like we passed a test, or got let go. I nodded slowly. Or survived something that wanted to keep us. We didn't say much else, just packed it in and went home. Weeks passed. Life settled back into what counts as normal when you're a storm chaser. Chase, film, upload, repeat. Pete got back into editing footage like nothing ever happened, except now he wore a tiny silver crucifix I never saw him buy. I kept my GoPros, but none of them worked the same, like whatever fried them that night never really let go. I took Boomer to the vet. Perfect health. But every time a thunderstorm rolls in, he growls at the walls. The weird part? Brier Creek vanished. Like, vanished. I tried pulling it up on Google Maps, no dice. Searched forums, old storm reports, chaser logs. It was like the entire county got scrubbed. But I remembered it. So did Pete. And buried in one of his drone SD cards, we found one last image. Blurry as hell, but unmistakable. A little girl in a yellow dress, standing at the edge of a cornfield, smiling. We didn't post it, didn't talk about it. Some things, they're not for the internet. Then, about 3 months later, it happened again. A new storm system rolled in, late at night, a few counties east. Routine stuff. I drove out solo just to see what it looked like. Everything was going smooth, until I saw it. A hand-scrawled paper, taped to a gas station window. Rules for storm chasers. Not Brier Creek. This was a different town, different state. But the rules? They were exactly the same. Right down to the part about the girl laughing. I stood there just staring at the list. A local walked by, maybe 70 years old, wearing a bait shop hat and boots caked in red clay. "You a chaser?" he asked. "Yeah." He nodded slowly, then pointed to the paper. "Those ain't just rules. That's a promise." I swallowed. "A promise of what?" He didn't blink. "That if you respect the storm, it'll let you go. But break the rules, it keeps you." I didn't chase that storm. I went home, called Pete, told him what I saw. He was quiet a moment, then said, "Maybe it's not just Brier Creek. Maybe it moves. Picks a new place. Tests new people." I've been chasing for years now. I still love the thrill. But I don't ignore the signs anymore. And I never chase solo. Somewhere out there, in Tornado Alley, or whatever part of the country it's twisted into this year, there's a little girl waiting in a yellow dress, smiling, whispering from the static. And if you hear her laugh, you better follow the rules.